Some stories stay with you, not because they scream in your face, but because they whisper and refuse to leave. Welcome to Supernatural Signals, where the screen meets the spirits. Today we're heading into the misty hills of Hokkaido, Japan, to visit a doll with a name and a face, and some say even a soul. This is the story of Oh-kee-koo, a once beloved toy that became a vessel, a comforting keepsake that over time began to show signs of something unnatural. But the real question isn't whether it's haunted. It's whether what's inside it has changed. In 1918, a young boy visited the bustling city of Sapporo and brought home a doll for his little sister, Oh-kee-koo. It was a traditional ichimatsu doll, about 16 inches tall, dressed in a fine kimono with pale porcelain skin and neat shoulder-length black hair. Oh-kee-koo adored the doll. She named it after herself and played with it daily, and carried it everywhere, and it slept with her every night. But her time was short. Not long after receiving the doll, Oh-kee-koo passed away. Some say from illness, possibly the flu. Heartbroken, the Suzuki family placed the doll on their home altar in remembrance. It was supposed to be a small gesture of love, until they noticed something strange. The doll's hair began to grow. At first, it was just a little longer than they remembered. Then it reached the doll's shoulders again. Then it went past them. They would trim it and it would grow back. The doll, they believed, had become more than a keepsake. It had become a home, a vessel for their daughter's spirit. Or so they thought. As the years passed, the Suzuki family began experiencing more than just growing hair. The doll, that was once a comfort, seemed to cast a quiet shadow over the home. Lights flickered unpredictably. They felt watched when walking past the altar, and sometimes they swore they heard faint rustling sounds, even when the room was still. Eventually the family moved, but they couldn't bring themselves to discard the doll. Instead, they entrusted her to Manando Temple, which is on an island of Hokkaido. The monks did agree to take her in, but they quickly realized this was no ordinary object of remembrance. Even now, over a century later, Oh-kee-koo remains at the temple, housed in a glass case. She wears her traditional kimono, her glass eyes look forward, and her hair still grows. The monks trim it periodically, treating her with reverence. Some even say they've sent hair samples for scientific testing, where it was confirmed to be human hair, not synthetic, and not an adult's, child's hair. Visitors who stop by the temple sometimes report chills, strange dreams afterwards, or even the sensation of being observed by something intelligent. A few say they saw the doll blink. Others claim that if you look her in the eyes too long, you'll feel a pull, like your name is being written down somewhere, and not by your own hand. And some locals whisper a warning. Don't meet her eyes and don't speak her name unless you want her to remember you. Now, the temple has never officially claimed the doll is haunted, but they treat her with a kind of respect that suggests that they have to believe something is there. Over time, the story of Oh-kee-koo has spread beyond Hokkaido, and as it does, so does the whispers. One story tells of a tourist who laughed at the doll and said aloud, "She's just a doll." That same day, they reportedly crashed their car on the road. Nothing was officially linked, But a secondhand report says the dashcam footage showed a small figure seated silently in the back seat, moments before impact. Another rumor says if you speak your full name near her, she may whisper it back to you, but not right away, and not even that day. Maybe a week later, perhaps in your dreams. Now let's get into some of the popular theories that are going on the internet with this doll. Some believe what's happening is a form of spiritual attachment. That Oh-kee-koo spirits, grieving young and unready to let go, latch onto the doll through sheer emotional force. In Japanese culture, there's a belief in tsukumogami. Apologize for the pronouncing. It's where objects that gain a spirit or soul after years of use and emotional connection. So, was this doll a tsukumogami? Again, apologies for the pronunciation. Or was it something else entirely? Now, others believe it didn't start with Oh-kee-koo at all. That simply the grief opened a door, and something else stepped through. A spirit, an echo, or even a trickster. One that mimics love to gain trust. Now, perhaps it started with a child's love, but love isn't always gentle. Sometimes it holds on too tight, and sometimes the thing holding on isn't what it seems. Alrighty, so now that we have a better understanding of this case, as well as the theories surrounding it, I wanted to go into some of my own personal thoughts and theories. Now, while researching it, I couldn't stop thinking about a movie my boyfriend and I watched recently, which is called The Ritual on Netflix. In the film, there's this twisted dynamic where people start worshiping a powerful entity, believing their sacrifices and loyalty will keep them safe, maybe even grant them longevity. But in reality, they're trapped. And the more they give, the more the control the creature has. Think about the idea of Stockholm Syndrome. And honestly, that made me look at the Oh-kee-koo doll in a very different light. I don't think it's a spirit of a little girl anymore, if it ever was. I think something darker may have already taken root. And all the pampering, the trimming of the hair, the respectful silence, it simply doesn't seem to stop her. If anything, I think it feeds her. Just like in the ritual, people think their offerings protect them. But maybe all it really does is keep the demon well fed. Alrighty, so now whether Oh-kee-koo is a grieving spirit, a twisted echo of devotion, or something darker, hiding behind a childlike face, one thing's clear. Some things don't want to be forgotten. And perhaps that's the scariest part. Let me know what you think. Is this a case of love turned obsession? Or was something else waiting to be invited in all along? And if you ever had an encounter with a haunted object, or something that just felt a little too attached, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. Thanks for watching Supernatural Signals. You can follow me on my Instagram at supernatural_signals for updates, behind the scenes, and extra weirdness. And as always, stay curious and stay tuned into the supernatural. Thanks for watching.